There comes a time in a man's life when you hit 30 years old, you feel like you need to review a JRPG that frustrates you. But since I'm 29, I have to break that rule right now and talk about Tales of Zestiria, the game that frustrated me for years, having me be a fan 1 minute, to utterly ticking me off the next, to then it sparking one of the biggest feuds between two fictional characters. That caused the voice actor of one character to publicly apologize, and fans began to spread rumors that the producer gave her character more screen time so that he could flirt with the voice actress, as he ended up leaving the studio a year after the game came out. I mean, what the heck is that? There's so much to unpack with this game. What did these two characters do to cause fans in Japan to send death threats? So yeah, the Tales of series is not the most eloquent of franchise names. I mean, you tell someone you're a fan of the Tales of, and they won't answer, because they still think you're trying to finish your sentence. If I could sum up this series, it would be the younger sibling of Final Fantasy. It often tackles the same type of JRPG plot structure. You know, your characters get pushed out of their homes due to the government.
Don't get me started about the government.
They meet up with other characters who are also down on their luck, and in turn they save the day by defeating the government of that world, but also chucking some god as an added bonus fight. But the Tales games feature more anime tropes and aesthetics. The designs are really out there, with bright saturation and just whatever the heck is happening here. Like, how would you even put on that every single morning? And the characters do feel more tropey, with a lot of cliches that you would expect from a more anime type game. But yeah, I didn't know any of this back then. I legit don't even know why I even got into this series. Yeah, I never saw or noticed the game's box art in the shops. I guess with how muted it is, they don't stand out amongst the others.
Wow, they have it. Rage.
But I think in 2017, Steam was having a sale where you could get a discount on both Zestiria and Berseria, and 2017 to me is very nostalgic, as that was sort of my JRPG awakening year. I played Persona and Kingdom Hearts for the first time, Yakuza 0, Gravity Rush, and these two games, which makes Zestiria one of the first JRPGs I played. When I was actively aware of the genre, you know, not just a kid thinking I was playing the funny cartoon Pokemon games. If you want to be pedantic, Persona 5 was my first because it came out in March of that year, and I played this after that, and then I also played Persona 4 and 3. So yes, Zestiria on a whim was my first entry into the series, and man, oh man!
Choking on my own rage here.
From someone who had no preconceptions of what JRPGs even were, the only games I actually beat as a kid were Pokemon, so I was not expecting much. But then, whoa, I was blown away by the characters, the voice acting, the story that covers a whole world with years of lore, a very unique battle system that I hate with every ounce of my being, but it just falls flat. And I think I know the big reason why. It just felt like this game had so much potential, as there was clearly a lot of love and care put into this. I mean, it's not a short game by any means, but the choices it made in the gameplay and story really hampered my enjoyment and actively frustrated me throughout the course of the game. So this review will be going through the game in its entirety. I have marked spoilers in the chapters, but I just really need to vent, because after 3 times playing through this game, I have so much to say.
Is it a turtle, Hellion?
The hell's you mean, Turtles, Hellion? I'm just a turtle.
So Tales of Zestiria doesn't even have a Zestiria. I know, what the heck, dude? But it follows 2 guys, Sorey and Mikleo. One is a human and the other a seraphim, spirits that can use magic in this world, and they love to go cave exploring.
I feel oddly envious.
Well, so whatever that is.
Agreed.
But in one shrine they meet the Princess Alicia and get whisked into the world below, where it turns out that Sorey is the shepherd, the savior of the world, and has to save it from evil. Which is just this big, giant, evil kitty cat. But yeah, it's kind of weird-paced story where you don't even see the main villain for half of the game. It's more about Sorey learning about his role in the world and unlocking more of his elemental powers, being the Seraphim, before something then big happens and it's a non-stop rush to the end. So the Tales of series is actually quite long running, even being part of Bandai Namco, and they were just Namco, with this game released in 2015 and was to celebrate the series' 20th anniversary. And it was all hands on deck, as a reported 200 staff worked on this game over the course of 3 years, double the previous entry. And series producer Hideo Baba wanted the game to feel like a mix of old and new of Tales. Remember that name for later, okay?
Write that down, write that down!
But looking into it, it really seemed like a hard development cycle for Sony's PlayStation 3, and they really wanted this game to be a big banger title for the anniversary, even hiring the anime studio Ufotable to make the anime cutscenes, which is a big deal because they are one of the best in the business for animation and tax evasion. And so it is to be a big game that would draw in new fans to the series. I mean, why else would they say this on the volume slider? The more stars, the louder. Epic.
What the hell am I reading?
Now I'm leaving one key thing about the drama on this game till afterwards because I really think it's better we talk about the game in its entirety first so you have the much needed context on why so many people hate this character. So Zestiria is a typical RPG from the PS3 era. You have anime intros and cutscenes, fantasy world with monsters roaming around that take you into a battle screen, and loads of side quests and events that are optional with English dubbing by the usual cast of people you would hear from similar games of the time.
Then do the Norman Karena as penance.
You get to run around the map with save points offering fast travel only after you unlock the feature in that region, and every time you use it, it costs money, meaning you're gonna be seeing a lot of this. And in these very open fields in between the towns, you will find monsters that will chase after you and initiate combat, but you can hit them first to stun them in the battle arena, where the arena is loaded wherever you fight them on the map, not like the Void in Pokemon. Son. So you have two sets of combos with hidden and mystic arts, while you have amortization, which allows you to fuse with the Seraphim element at the cost of 1 blast gauge, and they have seraphic arts. Now then, these three arts form a weapon triangle of sorts that you can use to interrupt enemies from starting combos or casting spells. Every action you do costs some of your spirit chain, which refills whenever you dodge, get hit, or hold the block button, so you kinda don't want to be spamming it, but you also do want to, as when it's lower, you do more damage. So in a combo, your final move usually does a lot more. However, it's kinda hard to even know if you have enough SC to even do all that combo unless you've memorized the amount that each action does, and I hope this was all simple enough for you to understand, because my god, this game has to be one of the most confusing gameplay systems I have ever played! Not just in terms of complexity, but how the game explains it to you, because as my first Tales game, when I didn't really understand how JRPGs work, it just hits you with oodles of text, no images or videos explaining what they actually mean.
You'll get 2 Elemental Union 2 bonus skills, reducing non-elemental damage by 20% instead of 10. Not only that, but you'll get 2 Stack 2 effects on top of that. But you need to be careful. Because
yeah, on my first 2 playthroughs, I just stumbled through this game. Like, I was zoned out after the first few hours with these walls of text, and then the next wall pops up.
Holy God, I'm not reading all that.
But this time, I actively read, looked up, researched what this all meant, and I still was having trouble comprehending the system. I hope this explains some of it, where enemies will have these types like Pokemon, and then you got weapons and moves that will have this little thing that will tell you they'll do more damage on those types, plus you got elemental attacks as well, and you got to pick which moves you got in the combos, mapping them to directional actions like a fighting game. Now then you have these 3 systems, manual, semi, and auto. Auto is when the game picks the moves from the pool and you just have to press attack and it will just do them for you, which isn't the best because you need to use those weakness attacks to beat the bosses. Manual has the most control, where you can pick all the moves and you have to move to the enemy to attack. Semi, though, I found was the best mixture because a lot of the time the hitbox for this game was so weird, where a lot of moves would just not register as hitting the enemy, even when they clearly were not blocking the move. As manual, you need to be up close and personal to hit them, so I would rather semi, where you can just press the move and your character will automatically run the distance they need to use that move to make sure it hits, which has the obvious downside where Saray is just gonna run blindly in because now he needs to pull that combo because you pressed that button. But I found was more reliable than manual, which had me completely whiffing attacks since I could never judge the distance when you line up the enemy. Oh yeah, lines! You run in a line. Yeah, so all the Tales games are sort of this 2.5D thing where you move forward and backward to attack an enemy. You don't really get a free roam in the arena. And it's similar here, but in 3D, where you can move forward and backward and dodge into new lanes. I think on New Game Plus, or it was a setting that allows you to free roam, because that's what I did on this playthrough, but it was them trying to mix the older Tales gameplay while trying to modernize, and I feel it doesn't work as well as I think they think it does. Your character moves very slowly in the lane. You're locked in unless you dodge to the side, which doesn't feel snappy. So it's like I can see this frustrating new players who don't know what this game will be about. Now you get to fuse with the Seraphim to use their elemental attacks, and the Blast Gorge you build up over time to use a special finisher type move. Or even use it to revive, as when you die but you got 1 blast gauge, you can then fuse and it brings you back to life, because yeah, you will be dying a lot. Now another big feature is in the pause menu, where the game is surprisingly surprisingly tactical, as in you have to be, because your AI teammates suck so much. They'll constantly run into danger, not dodge attacks. Oh yeah, to help them, you gotta do all these tactics to tell them what to do, but it's like I tell the magic user, you know, who has to stand far back to channel magic to attack from far, but then bro, why are you running in? So you will have to micromanage them, where you use the right stick to issue commands, like charge in, attack one enemy, spread out to defend. But then from what I saw online, a lot of people would just swap to the other characters to control them, and then do an action or get out of danger, and then they would just swap again. And you do all this in the pause menu. Yeah, there's no quick action button to swap to them. So like I said, the game is very tactical because you will be in this pause menu a lot. Also, a fun thing is that this game actually has co-op, in that all the battles are cooperative, where you and someone else can fight every single battle, which is actually extremely cool thing to do because you get to experience a JRPG sitting next to someone. Couple goals. So very, very lofty goals. Now the rest of the game has you running in the towns to clear out the evil, and then learning about some more of the world before you repeat on the next town. You can get some side quests like collecting these things or items in the wild, which actually impacts a lot of the gameplay because your armor matters more than your level. Yeah, this game has a big focus on gear, upgrading, changing it out to get better buffs against your enemy's weakness. I'll go more into it as we get into the story, but I was not expecting this Destiny style looter mechanic where you gotta grind for the best armor in this silly JRPG!
Armadillon, who left years ago on a journey to master the curl. What I wouldn't give to see that ultimate curl. It's my dream.
Mikleo, is she okay?
So before I get into the story, I should mention that this will be using my New Game Plus playthrough because I have played this game twice before and wanted to see the differences it offers, because Tales honestly has the best New Game Plus I have seen implemented in games, as it depends on how many optional side content you did in your playthrough. You then get rewarded these points that you can use to apply modifiers, so you can't go crazy and turn them all on. You get to choose and pick with your self-inflicted budget, and they can be things like more experience, harder difficulty, and I wanted this to be a more relaxing playthrough, so I turned on all the things that I thought would make the game more manageable, and now this game would be a cakewalk, right? I'm pausing for a dramatic effect because, well, you better stick around for the end. But yeah, you can also carry over items and stuff, but I should also say that this isn't my save file, as on my very first playthrough, I couldn't beat the final boss. Remember, I skipped all the tutorials, so I watched the ending on YouTube. However, on my second playthrough, I still couldn't beat boss because I still didn't understand the gameplay. I was just button mashing, and so I used someone else's save file to beat the final boss. So technically, I have never beaten this game before, but I will be using footage from all 3 playthroughs here and there when I'm trying to prove some point, because this gameplay and combat is so frustrating, but I can assure you this time, oh, this time, you little SOB, it's gonna be different. I will defeat you!
Meow?
So the game opens up with an anime cutscene talking about how years ago, humans and the spirit Seraphim used to live in harmony. However, a big calamity evil happened, and it split the two, where people can no longer see the Seraphim, even though they live amongst them. However, every so often there was this shepherd, a human who would get this power, and help bring about the coexistence again. However, in current times, there's no one, and the Seraphim are still invisible as we play as the human Sorey, who was found all alone as a kid by this old Seraphim dude who adopted him into his village. So Sorey has lived as one of them, and he loves the ancient history of the world, carrying around this old crusty book where he goes spelunking in the shrines. However, it looks a little plain here, so let's fix that.
It looks fantastic on you, Lord Shepherd.
It really does. So dashing.
Yeah, so another thing the Tales games do extremely well, well, just these 2 games, Arise ruined it all by nerfing it, making me so mad, where you can change outfits and it shows up in all the cutscenes, but that's not all, because you got attachments. No, not your attachment to an online personality, but these are objects you can place on the character, from hats, glasses, to miscellaneous. But the best, and I mean the best thing, is that you can put them anywhere on the model, even hovering 5 feet in the air above. It will be tied to the motion and move with them in all the cutscenes, and you can resize, rotate, even recolor, and yes, you can mess them up to make your own nightmares. I absolutely adore this peak level of customization. It really makes your playthrough feel unique. They do limit it though by having weights on the item, so you can only add 2 or 3, which is probably to help save the engine loading in all these. But this is such an amazing feature. And then you find out they had collaborations with other Bandai IPs, like Idolmaster? The Japanese anime idol group?
But those skirts, they're so short. People might even see your undergarments if you're not careful.
Well, yeah, that's the point. They're show-off undies that—
And Neon Genesis Evangelion? Well, that's an instant buy.
My name's Rei Ayanami. How's it hanging?
So Rei then meets up with his childhood friend Mikleo, a water seraphim.
That was too close. Could I get a little help, please?
Also the best character in the game, as they fall into the shrine and have to make their way out. And Mikleo actually will follow you in the overworld where you can talk to him and they will hint at what you need to do to proceed. Where these orbs act as save points, and I think on PC only you still can also quick save at any point as well. However, they see a collapsed human, which is odd since only Seraphim can find this place, and go to save her. But they meet some monsters they call Hellions. Bro, don't say the H word.
We object to the term hell.
And humans can't see them, but Sorey has some resonance, meaning he can see them and the Seraphim, and they can only be defeated with this thing called purification, which cleanses the evil and frees the original being, sometimes a dog or human turned evil. So you want to do that to not kill them. Well, Sorey doesn't. He's a special guy, this Sorey.
For real? My sword's all sticky.
And so we get to a bridge, and randomly the game has a dialogue choice here. Will this be a reoccurring thing in the game? Well, I want to joke it's the only time, but it happens a few more times in the first few hours. It's just flavor text though. However, you also get at these important areas like landmarks or save points over time, the trademark Tails skits, where they are optional as you have to press a button to see them, and it shows 2D sprites of the characters talking about that topic if you want more lore on the world event or them discussing idols. It's a great way, honestly, instead of making you read lore books in the game's world to help you learn things, because this game does not need more reading. So we reach the girl, and since she's a human, she can't see Mikleo.
Boo!
She's got this important looking outfit like she's a knight as we help her escape.
One Piece.
You've read it too?
Nope.
So yeah, she loves the history stuff as a kid and instantly hits it off with Sorey. As we then make it back to the village, and this game is one of those games where it looks possible. It looks like you can squeeze through, but buddy, you ain't ever getting through. Well, we reach home.
That's my house.
And this town is full of Seraphim that the girl cannot see, so she kinda thinks Sorey is a little insane, while the Seraphim all judge her because she's like, whoa, look at all this landscape. Girl, it's just grass. What are you on about? Grass in Homeworld. Grass in Seraphim Land. However, at home, she finally tells us that her name is Alicia. Well, if you didn't try to customize her already and get spoiled from the name from that. As Alicia mentions how weird it's that we look like the shepherd from the book, the guy who will save the world from all the malevolence, because now there's a lot of evil in the land below.
The world has been plunged into a nigh incomprehensible state of chaos.
Chaos?
Chaos.
Gosh, I hope we didn't worry him. Oh, nothing.
So we hunt some boar with her, where after the battles you got this victory quote, where it shows how much gold you earn depending on what things you do in the fight, like not using healing items means you got more gold. But you can also increase your weapon and title proficiency by fighting, and these titles are another thing you can equip to change up your stats with these boosts. But randomly you can get these post-battle scenes that are fully animated cutscenes of the characters interacting.
There's no better teacher, no more exacting taskmaster than the humble Pricklebore.
Thus, Pricklebore School.
You got it. Though I guess I should say Tuskmaster.
How cute.
And so she leaves to go home, but forgets her royal knife, and as we plan to chase after her,
Gramps?
someone has broken into Gramps' domain, his area of influence being the village, and we run to see...
Mason!
Mason? Who's Mason? Oh, Mason! No, Mason! Why, Mason? And while we are talking to him, he literally starts eating Mason again! Why? And he runs off after Alicia, so we go and follow, making our way down to Lady Lake, the capital of the country, Highland. But there's a roadblock with this dog.
Hey, Mikleo, why don't you pet him?
Animals like this one can sense us. It gives me the willies. It's not funny. Everyone has things they're afraid of.
And this totally not overly designed character, gee, I wonder what fans think of her.
I got a bad feeling about this.
She's Rose from the Sparrow Feathers merchants who asked to buy that royal knife from you. And this begins one of the weirdest choices in the game that makes it feel like it matters a lot more than it actually does, because it doesn't. As Gramps before you left gave you his pipe to sell for money since you're kinda broke. But you instead here could sell Alicia's knife for money, but turns out you actually need the knife to progress the story, so if you do, the game will then make you have to go and do things to try and get it back. And you need money to enter the church as the guards will want a bribe, and so the only way is to sell the knife or pipe. Or you could just show the knife to the guards and they get jump scared by the royal symbol and quickly let you in. And all this makes you miss out unlocking an attachment accessory as you didn't sell anything. It's kind of cool that there's this choice here that actually doesn't get resolved instantly, as you need the knife later on, so you don't know the problem you're in when you sell it right then and there. But I guess this whole thing is just a gimmick because they only do it one more time. No, wait, another time as well. Oh, no, okay, well, it's not much of a gimmick, but it's just this one was so involved, yet you still won't get locked out. It's just a roleplay however you want. So you enter the town, and it's also big, but there's a lot of malevolence, which the game details is when humans get evil thoughts, it builds up, and if it stays inside for too long, they turn into a hellion. But to other people, they are just acting normally. Only we can see the monsters they become and purify them. Like here.
Should we give it what for?
But man, this town, to make it feel like a big city, oh god, it's loud. They overlap the town chatter, and yeah, you got your point across. You hear everything they say.
Understand now, child. No matter how tough things get, stealing is stealing.
Shut up, old man. You smell like farts.
So we find Lunaire, the fox hellion that was about to kill Alicia. Also, I have to mention another choice, in that when I first played this, I died in the fight because, you know, I don't read. So when I had to run back to him, I took my time, got lost, and then it turns out, because I was lazy getting there, the dog actually dies. What is with this game? But we beat him in battle, yet it turns out he works for the Assassin Guild, who says their order to assassinate Alicia was a mistake. Oh, sorry. And they leave. Oh, okay. Well, we enter the church and meet Alicia with her trainer, Maltron. And I gotta say, it's kind of funny at times with this game where the models do the whole Pokemon turning on the spot thing, but then, okay, full motion capture. A lot of it, making it feel not cheap, like they knew specifically where they needed to use it, a very smart, efficient way to keep the game not feeling stale over 40 hours. We tell Alicia about the assassins, but she don't care. She is the princess and has her duty. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious already, she is royalty, and we turned up during the sword ceremony where whoever pulls out the sword will become the next shepherd. But only we can see that there's a seraphim sitting right there, the Lady of the Lake, who weirdly is a fire user. But Hellions storm the church, and so we ask her, Lila, for her powers and make a pact with her, becoming a prime lord where she will give us the power to purify Hellions, as they were formed due to the townspeople rioting over the corrupt government, causing all this resentment to turn into malevolence. But we are now the shepherd, which is a big worry for the corrupt government, and Lila is honestly one of the best things about this game.
Pick a number 1 through 10. Got you! It was 12.
She's off the rails.
Well, I gotta customize it first.
As people start to crowd the streets, you'll feel it even more. Come this way.
So now Lila tells us about the Shepherd's Goal and how it's to eventually quell the Lord of Calamity, a big evil that's going to appear. However, whenever we ask her about certain things relating to the previous shepherd, who she traveled with, she hits us with,
what kind of people were the other shepherds?
Huh? Oh, sorry. I missed what you said.
So, what were the other shepherds like?
I missed what you said.
Lila?
Yes.
Hiding something?
Oh my, isn't this lovely weather?
As to even get her purifying powers, she made a pact that she cannot disclose anything about the past and will go on tangents to dodge the question, just so her power stays strong. Or in other words, it's a neat but kind of annoying way to avoid her telling us too much lore right now, because it would help for us to know all this, but every single time we ask, she does a scene, which can be funny, but over time you're like, yeah, okay, geez, sorry for asking. And so Alicia gives us the shepherd's clothes to wear.
Ah, perfect timing. Go get changed, you kind of smell.
You wear it well.
So you can put lipstick on a pig.
Well, it looks like this without the DLC. And now you unlock the shops where you can buy healing items, weapons, and armor that they only have one in stock, and they will refill after story progression. And over time, they will get newer and more higher strength ones. But you can also fuse items of the same name, which is like upgrading their stats and combining abilities. However, you won't want to spam fuse everything, as you might lose an ability like this weapon. Say it's good against dragons, but fusing it, you might lose that specific ability. Huh, well, good thing we never fight dragons, huh? So we meet Alicia.
Garb looks wonderful on you.
Thanks.
Some fine lipstick on that pig.
Yes, Mikleo. We all know your opinion.
What? Pigs are nice.
And now we're going to convince Alicia about the Seraphim and how we are, you know, not insane. But our power isn't strong enough, so we got to hold her hand, cover our ears and eyes, and hold our breath so that she can see.
Fear not, Alicia. We have indeed seen your gratitude for ourselves.
Saray, one more time.
Well, I guess it was worth it, huh?
I now have no doubts that the Seraphim do indeed live among us.
So we decide to stay around in town, and I notice Mikleo starts to make desserts. I guess everyone needs a hobby, but no, this is a support talent where you can pick and choose for each character that occurs in the overworld. Like Saray's talent is to yell out that he spotted a landmark when you're only 1 meter away from them.
I just saw a monolith written in ancient tongue.
Like these tablets that give you tutorial text. It's not a very good support, but the other ones can be like preparing food that gives you boost before battles, or the best one being Wind Step, which will help boost your running speed areas, and it increases the more characters you have that equipped on. And you can sleep at inns to heal up, as well as eat food to gain buffs for a few battles, and randomly you will see skits here, so it's kind of a good incentive to always rest up.
Sheesh.
And so we wander around Lady Lake and meet,
Is it a turtle, Hellion?
The hell's you mean, Turtles, Hellion? I'm just a turtle.
They sell us maps. Okay. And we find some guy who went missing in the aqueduct, so we enter, and this is kind of a weird part of the plot, as we now are using Lailah to armatize, which is when we fuse with her to use fire attacks. Mikleo then gets super mad that we aren't relying on him, which leads to the funniest scene in the game where they're acting like a married couple.
Is it so strange that I should want to eliminate them?
I don't know. Do frogs try to eliminate snakes?
Am I a frog to you?
Why are you getting so hysterical? Listen to me, Mikleo.
And he runs off while we continue on. Save the guy, and finally use that knife to enter the shrine, which gives us an iris gem that shows the flashbacks of the past with these no audio anime slideshows. And it seems like we're still weak with all this fusing thing, as this is all new to us.
You were able to unleash the power of armatization with amazing speed, and yet now you can't turn it off. Saray, you're just a total mess. The shepherd's a mess, I guess.
So we head back to Alicia.
I shall do everything within my power that I can.
Your distinctive personality.
And Lailah asks for Alicia's help to find the Lord of the Land, where back in the day, humans and Seraphim worked together to protect towns from malevolence. And one shepherd would be appointed a lord to have their domain be in town, and that purpose to push the evil away. So to get rid of all the evil here, we need a Lord of the Land to be a lighthouse to shine away the darkness. And so Alicia can become a squire to help us, where she can purify Hellions if she forms a pact with us. But and so we make her a squire, and we all have fun, happy times, while Mikleo is sad looking in. So we run to where we think we can find holy water for a water seraphim lord, and yeah, in the wild you will see these different types of monsters, and you can usually outrun them if you don't want to fight. However, the others, they don't stop running! And we go through the dungeon, where I'll lightly touch on how all the dungeons always have these split routes, and you get rewarded with items. As in other games, whenever they do this, a lot of the time I found when I wanted to explore the whole dungeon, you often end up in a dead end, and there's no item rewarding you for exploring, meaning you just wasted time running here. Maybe jump scared with the monster. But in Zestiria, I really do appreciate how the devs knew people wouldn't know where to go, so they rewarded us for taking the wrong turn. Also, with the maps you buy from the turtles, you won't ever get lost, and you just press left trigger, and it will open the map showing you where the doors are, with the stars being the goal. Well, we get surrounded and can't seem to win. However, Mikleo appears, going, "This is my dream too, don't push me away and say I'm hysterical," and asks to be a sub-lord of Lailah so he can help purify.
Shouldst thou accept this burden, recite aloud your etc.
Etc.?
And now you get water fusing, which is really good because it lets you attack from afar. Although the camera can still leave a lot to be desired, as when you get stuck in a corner, the camera will join in with you for the bends.
Alicia, don't tell me.
Yes. Not only can I hear your voice, I can see you now.
God damn, my humor is so childish. But now after fusing, Sorey gets tired and they have to carry him back. Wait, how can the invisible Mikleo carry him?
You gave me quite a backache.
You looked like you were floating. I told the innkeeper you were just doing some sort of magic trick.
And well, we got the water, but now we need the Seraphim to become the Lord of the Land, and the game just says, search for them. But if you run around, you hear people talking about how this bridge collapsed, and even Alicia, like I said, the partner character will hint at where you need to go. Which makes it annoying when they remove your partner, so then you're like, now what? Well, we head to the bridge and see that a water spirit has washed it away. In fact, it's a Hellion, and we learn that Seraphim can also turn into Hellions with enough evil. And so we purify it and get this free Seraphim to be our Lord of the Land, where you can then pray to them at Lady Lake by offering things to increase the level or by doing things in combat in the domain, where you get these benefits like more healing from items or chests will refill over time. Plus you got this sanctification which boosts items that are plus 10 in the fusion. But after my 30 hours, I never got any item to that level, as you'll always get better equipment so frequently, you won't really be fusing the same item 10 times over when you can just swap it to a higher stat one. But now, the Council of the Government calls us in because having a powerful shepherd around the people that they love is worrying for them. And the council leader Bartlow does the whole Gendo pose. Evangelion? And he wants us to work with him to be a crowd pleaser. We say, no you, and to annoy us they will then send Alicia out to some diseased town, hoping it will kill her. But then the assassins come in and say, well, Bartlow was the one who ordered us to kill Alicia. Okay, well, why are you telling us this? And so we escape through the underground passageways full of malevolence, where I also get more into the combat learning with these arts, because it's kind of hard to wrap around how the hidden arts, you can customize completely what the combos do where you press the directional stick, but with the martial arts, you don't really get to change them at all. They are just set combos, and I don't really know why they would limit this at all. You do also get to change the hidden arts for when you armatize, but for now, you don't got many choices. Also, yeah, don't set your teammates to manual, thinking that they will do better attacks. They just sit still if you do that.
Oh, I get it.
Huh?
So yeah, despite the story being so far just okay and the gameplay being the reason why I kept playing this game was for the characters. It had settled into this cozy rhythm and the group of four really bounced well off each other, and I kept wanting to see more of them together. Oh yeah, I think the word is called foreshadowing.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, so despite running away, Alicia will still want to go to the Plague Town because it's like she's one branch of claim to the royal throne, but everyone is trying to get rid of her, yet she's so defiant and strong in that she will oppose them no matter what and will go and fix up the town. So to go there, we got to cross that bridge, but the townspeople here, since we last met them, haven't really begun to fix it because the water is still raging too much. So we got to find the Earth Seraphim to move the land to make it easier to cross, and now you got more combos where holding the right trigger if you have a 1 blast gauge, it turns us into a rainbow and you got to do another combo move. And if you have 3 or 4 blast gauges, you can do a finisher for lots of damage. Also, if you press RB, it will pause and let you move the lock on, but more importantly, it will tell you if the enemy has any elemental weaknesses or resistance. Now, while we go to the Earth Seraphim, Alicia will wait with the bridge people leaving your party, and you can get a unique skit only here when she's gone. Once she rejoins, it's gone forever. And there are a lot of skits like this in the game where after important cutscenes, you would usually go to a save point to see a unique skit about what just happened. If you don't, you will miss that forever. Also, I like on the NPCs they have this smiley face so you know to talk to them about something new, and then it goes to neutral face when you finish. But yeah, I don't know why in the entire game they aren't voiced, but talking to this specific NPC, you get a voiced reaction from the party.
Well, that's certainly unpleasant.
But we can't blame them either.
And yeah, with Alicia gone, for some reason the game now only lets you and 1 Seraphim out to fight. Meaning, you've lost half your team from 4 to 2. You can change them up with the D-pad on which Seraphim you want out, and when they're on the bench they will heal up. So if they die, they'll just get sent to the bench and revive, which means you could revive them with an item in battle, or just wait as they revive on the bench, but it will take a long time for that to happen. But it's weird how many times the party changes up like this over the course of the game. I don't really get why both Seraphim couldn't just run around. I mean, Mikleo is Lila's sub-lord, not Sorey's, so he doesn't need the human to run around, and in cutscenes we see all of them outside talking. It's not like Sorey can only have 1 Seraphim out at once. So we head up to the mountain to the Earth Spirit, but instead we find this Hellion, who gives us some trouble, but then we get saved by this guy, who instead of purifying, wants to kill it, saying it's his goal to kill them all. His name is Zaveid, and he's sort of like a wild card who keeps appearing randomly, talking about how he's got to do all these killings, and he has this weird magic gun which can boost the Seraphim's power. I don't think our group seems to care though.
I'm disappointed in the Hellion we encountered. Very amateur hour.
The Armadillo Seraphim?
I'm kinda not following this.
The Armadillo Seraphim, Arma Walt, and Arma Langston. You know, the legendary 3-time curling champions.
No, I don't know.
Well, we head up and enter a Hellion's domain where it turns out there's a dragon. Gee, who would have guessed? And dragons here when Seraphim go super evil with malevolence over time, and once they turn, they can never revert back. And it turns out this Earth Seraphim Edna, well, her brother Eisen is the dragon here, so we got to avoid fighting it. But after some convincing, as it seems like Lila knows half of the Seraphim from before, where Edna joins our team as we promise to help free Eisen somehow.
Hey you, water boy. You got a name?
Micleo, not Waterboy.
Micleo, not water boy? That's a new one.
Call me what you like. See if I care.
Okay, Meebo.
Yeah, they have a lot of banter between these two. However, as we head back to the bridge, the one female assassin leader is like, "Oi, I'm gonna fight you!" And holy moly, she hits hard! Yes, I was starting to notice how despite playing on normal difficulty, a lot of the times, I would just end up getting one-shot. And my allies, with their horrible AI, would also get one-shot, which is where the old Shadowfire patented cheese strats come in. I just run away and tell my teammates to attack.
Amazing. How do you do it?
And now you reach the bridge and got the big choice where you can either use your earth powers now in front of everyone and fix the bridge, or you can wait till everyone sleeps and do it secretly. And the outcome is the same as just flavor text, but the people will judge you if they think you're a weirdo using magic in front of them. It doesn't affect the story at all. It just makes you really pissed off at the townspeople for being little whiny sons of bitch. But we cross and get some medicine to deliver to the plague town.
You're awfully rude, you know that?
Please forgive me.
If you're sorry, then do the Norman Karena as penance.
What now?
You don't know it? How disrespectful.
Please forgive me.
If you're sorry, then do the Norman Karena as penance.
Edna, don't infinite loop the squire.
I'll say yeah, some of these post-game skits are adorable.
Fortune telling. Please pick one.
Okay. Oh, this one's blank.
That means your spirit is pure and clean, like this paper.
Oh, thank you.
She's gullible. Way too gullible.
So we enter the town and see it's overrun with malevolence, as that's probably why people are thinking it's a plague. With everyone huddled in the church, people scared out of their minds, the music is so moody, this place really sets the tone of a scary town. And as one of my first proper JRPGs I played, I sorely miss places like this, because I personally love when a game or show has that one spooky section where you know everything will be fine later on, but just right now it's gonna scare the whole group, and this game has one of the best examples of it. Oh yeah, more gameplay because with the equipment abilities, you got these titles on them and you can check on this screen where it's like, whatever you have currently equipped, you want to get these boosts to stack next to each other or go in a vertical line, which is what a G Union is, when you'll then get a 20% boost to all the stats. And I really did try to utilize this by getting at least one G Union because I ignored this so hard back in the day. So at least I can hopefully show you how I was trying. I really was trying to understand this, but it was one of the most unforgiving combat systems if it's your first ever JRPG and all you have to go on is just this text. So we have to clear out the museum where the malevolence is strongest and you hear things that go bump.
What sinister writings? It looks like they were scrawled in blood.
And the cast are all scared and trying to cope.
It could be hiding anywhere in the museum. We better canvas the entire area. See what I did there? Canvas is a fabric used as a painting surface and...
Please stop.
Oh wow, I just got it.
See, it was just enough explaining.
As we head to the end where we fight a statue and it turns out it was controlled by this thing.
Stop!
This is a Norman. What's a Norman? Oh. Where they are like Seraphim helpers, but this one went evil due to people not liking art. Yeah, dude's an art lover. But we can't purify the town, as now there's a tiny Drake, a Seraphim that's going to be turning into a dragon soon, causing malevolence around, and we got to take care of that. And afterwards, the Seraphim that turned into the Drake is now the new Lord of the Land, with the Norman here offering us the Norman Challenge, which is for us to find 50 of his friends in the world.
No, I don't think I will.
Well, if you do find them, they will bind that ability that's named after them onto a weapon of your choice. I kind of wish you could see this table in the menu when you're given the choice of which weapon to put it on, because I often would just put it on whatever weapon had a free slot at that time. But I can see this being super helpful, like you could just save up these Norman for the final weapon you want to add an ability to make them even more OP. Like that dragon defeating Norman must be very valuable.
The young shepherd's starting to deteriorate. I ought to be more understanding.
Deteriorate?
Gee, I sure hope this is brought up again.
Unlikely.
So we get ready to head
Right
out.
as rain. Good. We don't need a sick shepherd. That'd be bad.
And Rose is like, whoa, hey, I'm just here delivering medicine. We weren't following you guys. And we pay this band of mercenaries to guard the town while we are away, with Alicia shocked that they will do anything for money.
Duty and...
Duty.
So now we enter this dungeon, which they really love to reuse the design of, where we're going to take care of another Hellion that's causing more malevolence near the town, so that we can finally get rid of it all. And oh my god, it's a flower! That shouldn't be too bad.
Wow, Dad, how did you do that?
It's a flower.
Also, a cool thing is when you fight a new monster type, even the reskins, the characters will have voice dialogue in the fight talking about them, which is just so cool, making you want to try to fight them all.
You're such a sweet, simple soul. You know that?
Damn, guess Akechi's voice just slipped out there. So yeah, I guess this is a good time to mention the voice acting, because it's in that era of voices you will hear in every video game around that time. Pretty much the entire cast you will have heard in other games, which isn't to say it's bad voice acting. They all do their job really well. You got the cheerful Alicia, the quirky Lila, the monotone Edna, and the Labrador puppy Saray. But I want to mention Miklio's voice actor, who doesn't really fit into that group because they haven't done that many roles, and yet they suit him so well. And even more crazy is that they were 19 when they voiced Miklio in this game, which is crazy that they did such a good job with the voice work, kind of giving off that Emperor Zuko kind of vibes. But Tails also does something with the voices, because they do voice a lot of things, maybe too much, because every time you do an attack with the characters, they will not stop talking.
Calamity Flare! Appear flames!
An unknown type of Hellion.
Appear flames! Calamity Flare! Appear flames!
They do have some variations, but when you use the same move a lot, it can be frustrating to some people hearing this, but it's such a unique feature of Tales of games, I could not miss this. Even the newer ones like Arise, it does the same thing, and I feel it's a very on-brand sort of feature. Now, another thing you should know that with the Tales games, well, I should have known that, is a lot of your fights depend on your tactics. Like here, I was dying to one hit every turn. Like I was doing my strategy of being a backline leader and babying my AI teammates from the back, but they die in one turn as well. So the next try, I instead go in and help out and easily win. Anyway, in the cutscene, we lose because the plant attacks Miklio and Alicia, almost killing her. And the game's like, okay, Saray, you have formed too many packs. Alicia isn't strong enough because she can't resonate. Okay. And so the group head back home.
Why?
What?
Why?
Huh? Why? What?
And this bozo as Seraphim shows up and then they all disappear. Okay. And Alicia now decides to stay behind while we head to the other country that's at war, the Roland's Empire, to find more shrine thingies. Yeah, it's like we don't really have a goal, we're just gonna wander around and clear out malevolence, as we haven't really seen a big bad guy yet. And now Alicia wants to try and stay back to try to win over a council. And the game has been trying to say all these things like, yeah, she's causing Saray to be a bad shepherd. Look, she needs to take care of things back home. Saray can't keep babying her. Who cares if you liked her on the team after 10 hours? It's fine, right? She will surely return later.
Unlikely.
And now this means they're back again to two party members fighting in the battles. But we also hear how Roland is declaring war on Highland and that we should interfere. But Lila is like, no, you're too powerful. You could affect the balance. You shouldn't pick a side because then the other one is surely gonna lose. But just when we agree to the pacifist route, the council goes, alright, we arrested Alicia for treason, but we will release her if you fight for us and win. And we have no way of knowing if this is true, and so we have to agree. And we are all sad and bad that we have to kill, because if we do that, we are gonna gain malevolence. And we have learned that if Saray gets any such a pure kid, that these three Seraphim would also get corrupted, meaning he should never kill anyone as we head to the battlefield.
Gonna cry?
Nope.
And so we just scare off the enemy, but then our commander is like, good, now go and kill them as they run away. But then suddenly a huge domain opens up, and it's the Lord of Calamity finally awakened, where he's causing the malevolence to spike up, turning the commander into a Hellion that we have to fight, while Lila says we should really run away. But Sorey says it's his job to take care of this calamity thing, and we run up to find that it's a big lion man. Sure. This is the big bad? He's just an adorable kitty cat.
It's so fluffy, poofy, adorable, poofy.
So yeah, you go for hours into the game, you got this cozy vibe, no real villain, it's just Dumbo's goofing off, till suddenly, main girl is gone, and this cat just shows up. And he's incredibly powerful, stopping us from using Seraphim here. And so we have to retreat, but we can't, but then we get saved by the assassins as we fall. And when we wake up, oh gee, the blue-eyed assassin who sounded like Rose the entire game is actually Rose! I knew it! Yep, the merchant thing was just a cover for them to go and assassinate people.
This whole thing is just sort of ridiculous.
So yeah, we learned that their base is here, and they think we are crazy for talking to the air, so we gotta convince Rose about the Seraphim. And well...
Just try and focus, Rose.
Rose, can you hear?
Yeah, easy, Rose.
Rose, please, just calm down.
I'm not hearing this. Let go. Let me go, you idiot.
Rose, listen.
We're close. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I wonder how Alicia is doing.
I can see you now.
And thus begins the worst part of the game. So we meet this old man called Maven who tells us to explore the ruins here, and so we go and do that with Rose.
Oh, you're interested?
As if. What I am interested in is you.
Bro, easy there. And so we enter the ruins where Rose runs in and accidentally pulls a switch, which almost kills us, until we have to fight this mini Drake in the dungeon. Yeah, the pipeline of Seraphim to dragons has got a lot of steps. But the weird green guy is here, and he begs us to armatize with him, which is his goal or something. He's very mysterious. And Rose, we try and finally make her see the monsters.
What? What's wrong with you?
And so Lila forms a pact with her because her resonance is really high for some reason, meaning she can armatize, so now you got two people that confuse with the spirits. And we win, where this guy's name is Dezel, and he's only joining us so that he can use armatization for revenge against a Hellion who killed his friends way back. And Rose joins us because she has no malevolence and is pure like Sorey. Okay, 1 second. What the heck are you talking about? Now I need to go into this because look, I'm used to cringe in my JRPGs. In fact, I love it. One of my favorite games has this weird screaming like Rose does, and that's just for a battle attack. This dude ain't scared and he's going in like a race car. But my god, was Rose annoying with her main introduction. She will 1 minute go, nah, I hate the ruins, but I don't care because I really like you, Sorey. I'm real interested in you. And the game goes, oh yeah, she has a high resonance, meaning she can fuse. And she has no malevolence. But her whole job is an assassin. You know, the kind that kills people for money. She was literally told to kill Alicia for money. And the game clearly states how Sorey was super sad, thinking he would have to kill, and any malevolence you get means you're evil, and your Seraphim would just go evil as well. The only reason I can see it working is that Rose is so twisted like a psychopath, in that she believes killing is doing the right thing. Which means that, oh yeah, Sorey could kill if he also believes that's the right thing, which will not work for his character. And then the game does this.
I kinda like having you and Rose around.
What?
You have literally traveled with her for 10 minutes. What about Alicia? Was she really the worst character? Sorey then goes, oh, it's cause I finally have a human who has a Seraphim around. Someone who understands me. Alicia wouldn't get it. But Rose never saw Dezel until now. He was stalking her all her life, for spoiler reasons I'll get to later. But that's the reason her resonance was so high. Because he was using her all her life, giving her wind powers, using her here and there. And she never knew he existed. So how could she be used to living with them? You've seen her reactions. She wouldn't grab your hand and punched you. But like, it's okay. Oh, suddenly these 10 minutes are the best of my life. the best times of his life.
I kinda like having you and Rose around.
And for hours after, she will rant about how creepy it is for the Seraphim to talk in her head all the stuff they do. She's not used to it. And then Mikleo says,
So Ray's like that too. We grew up together, but he still tenses up a little when he sees me.
and I can tell you, in my 3 playthroughs of this game, I got no indication of this. So Ray has never been scared of Mikleo. What? Have you seen how these two interact? Need I say more? It's like they are trying so hard to suddenly push this Rose as a magical, amazing party member and trying to make sure you really forget Alicia. I'll go more into this in a dedicated section after we see the rest of Rose by the end, because there's so much to this, like trailer footage showing Alicia was playable later in the game where you don't have her in that place now in the proper game. Then those weird rumors how Rose was pushed as the main character because of behind the scenes infatuation.
Alicia has her own dreams to pursue too.
So what? Does that make me a replacement?
What? No. No!
Sorry to ask that way. Don't worry about it. I decided to join you guys of my own volition. But don't expect me to fit into that princess role.
We know that!
Glad you understand and all, but that's a little rude of you, don't you think?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
For everything, Saray.
Get a room, you two.
It's not like you won't see each other again.
But yes, for now, Alicia is gone forever. You are stuck with Rose, which is technically good gameplay-wise because you think, oh, another person that can fuse. But I'll get to that, because now...
Nice to meet you.
The talking dog at the Shell Shack is singing!
This is Oish the Drake thing, is now a Seraphim dog thing. Cool. Also, I found the game's music load trigger.
I'm in Australia. Now I'm in America. Australia. America.
So I customized Dazzle and Rose, making her the perfect Alicia clone, but with one small thing.
Now it's art.
So now the dog says to go deeper into the ruin, and here the enemies are a lot tougher. And you should know that if you have the wind stepping ability on, it turns on after the fight. So if you want to move at a decent pace, you should fight some monsters. For example, this is a decent pace. However, I do not know why Rose sucks in combat with her AI. She will constantly die. And I don't know why it's like any hit the enemy does. My whole party just is so weak. I was really confused as to why this was happening because I was playing on normal difficulty and on New Game Plus. How can I die to one hit to these generic enemies?
Well, I couldn't possibly solve this mystery.
So pretty much the goal is to now get these 4 elemental things that can boost our power at these shrines so that we are even able to fight the lion called Heldoth.
That man we were talking about, Heldoth. He's the Lord of Calamity. So...
Whoa, hold your horses. Save the long stories for mealtime, okay?
She doesn't even care about the plot. I mean, I can't take this. And so we head through into Roland, where we reach Lastenbell, where the guard Sergei stops us for a check.
The truth is, I am the son of a provincial lord. Lord! Rose.
That's right. My husband here is nobility.
What? You're married?
And to add even more insult to injury, anytime you meet this guy, he will assume you're married to Rose, and the group will not correct him, even after he knows that we are the shepherd, because haha, it's funny. You will love Rose now, please, okay?
Hey, Saray, what does my true name mean?
Oh, it means Rose is Rose.
But Princess Alicia used to be a squire, right? What was her true name?
Melphis Amechia. It means Alicia the Smiling.
Oh, I see. So it's not lazy. You're just being biased.
Huh? How?
My smile is pretty gorgeous too, you know.
Quit it, Rose.
And so, you know, I got really used to the wind running because it made exploring fun when you're moving so fast. However, I couldn't determine how it worked in towns because it would go up randomly maybe when you're talking to people. Oh wait, no it doesn't! As it turns out, eventually I realized, when the towns do that gossip thing in the bottom left, it then refills your wind stepping. Yep, that's the only way it boosts back up. So if there's no one around, you're gonna move slow. Also, Dazzle himself was not really that likable.
That's not something an adolescent girl should do.
Mowing people down?
Riding around on someone's back.
There's something wrong with a girl being
So yeah, the game was in a weird place plot-wise. You know what your goals are, you have evil to defeat, but the incredibly forced addition of these two kinda soured my mood of the game. I actually preferred when we didn't have a goal and we're just casually exploring around solving town's problems, because the group dynamic was way more fun. And I would like to know if anyone else felt this. It's not like I hated the game, it was just way less enjoyable to me after these two characters. And it's not like I hate Rose because I actually enjoy hyperactive characters in games. It's one of my favorite tropes, the energy they bring to the cast, but it was mostly the way they introduced her as the replacement and did everything to make you like Rose instead, while cutting a character I was starting to really enjoy. It's like reverse psychology. You will like Rose. You will like Rose. Huh, you know what, Bandai? I think I'll like Rose. So you get involved in Rollins' problems where Sergei loves you as the Shepherd and wants us to help stop the evil Pope, who was the one who seemingly declared the war. But you also got these side stuff where you got these extra dungeons where you can only use one character to get some armor. You then have some optional side quests with these purple stars where you can try to find the new hideout for the assassins. And it's kind of funny when you can clearly tell it's a side quest purely because the camera will stay zoomed out so they don't have to animate the faces and all the angles, the motion capture to make it feel higher budget. And Rose is like, hey, you know, I'm a good guy now, but I'm still an assassin, tee-hee. So I got this order to go kill whoever started the war. And that's the Pope. Yep, there's no malevolence girl who wants to kill the Pope for money. While we also learn about the old text and those iris gems, well, they detailed what happened to Heldolf and why he turned into a kitty cat, and about the previous Shepherd, the one Lila can't talk about.
Could the spiritual powers be real?
Buzz, 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 buzz. Be real, real bees. Oh, bees everywhere.
Just possibly.
However, the Cardinal working under the Pope comes in with her own domain expansion, revealing she's a Hellion.
Surrender.
I don't feel so good.
And says the Pope has gone missing, not because she did anything, he just up and left. So long, I'm not being a Pope, bye. And so we escape to find out if this is true, with Sergei teaching us the Lion's Howl move. A move that I really thought you would use to wipe out the final boss in the gameplay. I forgot I even had it in the end fight. I also have to mention how you got these elemental abilities in the dungeon. So you got this fire one to open doors, wind to jump across gaps, and now water to go invisible for a time. You don't really use these in the wild. I mean, you can to attack the enemies, but they will help you complete dungeons and also areas you'll go back to because you couldn't access certain points. Well, now you can with these things. As we head into the Pope's hiding place, which turns out it's this guy who was smuggling in elixirs.
But my body feels oddly warm.
That's because it's packed with energy drink garbage. Did I mention this stuff is highly addictive?
Oh yeah.
And the Pope here is not a bad guy, he's just doing it to sell for money to help the village who didn't have any other way to earn an income. Also, very fun fact if you care about Shadowfire lore, in that I actually wanted to become a YouTuber way back in the day due to Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, created by Little Karibo, and it's actually why I made a YouTube account in the first place, to watch their videos, and lo and behold, guess who's the voice of the Pope?
I know that! That's why I worked so hard. I did all I could.
Yeah, imagine I just bought this game on a whim and boom, suddenly I'm hearing the voice of the person who influenced me to make YouTube videos. So we tell him our plight and he says, lol, Fire Strider's right here. Convenient. Also, we get the fourth elemental ability, Edna's Rock Punch.
I'm the most ladylike lady that ever ladied, you know.
Well, whatever.
And so you go in with the usual pick a direction, you gotta solve puzzles to raise the lava, and it took me so long to figure this out until I found this YouTube comment explaining that you actually have to look under the torches, do the number, and you light them in that order. And so we meet the Seraphim who challenges us to fight this thing, and it's kind of annoying how sometimes the game will do this, like, okay, water is very good in this dungeon, so I got Mikleo already as my Seraphim, but nah, after the cutscene, let's make Rose use him instead, then instantly die! Rose, please, what are you doing?
Edna, be careful!
And this fight was so hard, and I learned that the martial art for the Seraphim is like this big charge-up attack, but it will always do some really strong moves, so you gotta hope he aggroes onto Rose while I eventually charge up and whittle him down with Mikleo. And so he bestows upon us the Firepower, which is when you have 4 blast gauges, you can do a super strong finisher move. As we head to Pendrago, where we learn that the Cardinal is gonna arrest the Knights, so we run into the church to investigate.
This is some malevolence.
Do you think that it could be Mount Hellas who's possessing the Cardinal?
What did the cat in the bird mask say? Me, owl.
So yeah, Maltalis is like a super strong seraphim back in the day where you have 4 lords of the elements, but Maltalis is the 5th one who rules over the entire land. It's all his domain. With Dezel laughing at all this in the background, and the game does this a few times, but characters will talk over each other, and the comedy part is always not subtitled, so if I try to focus on that, I'm missing on the lore. And so we enter the church dungeon where it's got you getting these orbs to open doors with a lot of backtracking, till we find the cardinal in a Hellion form. And we can't purify her since she's so malevolent, so we have to finish her off, but we can't kill her because Sorey can't do that. However,
Sorry.
Good thing you're an assassin, Rose. So yeah, I guess that answers why Rose is here. She can kill whenever Sorey can't. But it's also like, you know, Alicia could have done this. She never said she wouldn't kill. You could have her kill the cardinal who instigated the war that killed people in her family. You know, you could have just added that. And then have her and the party dealing with that guilt over the course of the game. Like, you could have easily made this work for her. But now we got Rose, who is just so emotionally distant that she can just kill without feeling evil. I just miss Alicia so much!
Why are you getting so hysterical?
Well, we say the town and the skies clear up.
Touchy feeling Mick Leo? Touch Leo?
Hey, God, knock it off!
And we talk to Maven, who tells us about Maltalis, how his blessing covers the entire continent, and when he disappeared is when all this malevolence started back up. So we gotta find him to purify the Seraphim and maybe help weaken the lion. And the best place to look would be the Elemental Trials. So, you know, we were gonna go there anyway. And here you can now do so many side quests, which is where you talk to Rose and you see these purple stars, and she'll tell you about where you can go. Like, you can check up on the Haunted Town again, Lady Lake, more of the Iris Gems, and so on. They're all optional, but I at least wanted to try some of them to see these side events because I never really did this stuff back in the day. Like here in Pendrago, you can unlock the lore of the land by fighting this beast to reveal its seraphim being Garfield.
It's a fat cat?
And turns out if you check up on Lady Lake, Alicia returns!
I shall pray that you overcome your trials safely.
Thanks. See you again.
Well, I go and complete the water shrine, which is annoying in that you gotta use this invisible bubble to avoid these eyes, which they speed up how quickly the bubble will pop when they're looking at you. But if you get seen once, you will get teleported all the way back to the start of the dungeon. Yep, I was mad AF. So we get the water power, I do more side quests, and it's funny because I never did any of this before, so this is all new content to me. Where you can go back to your hometown and see Gramps.
Gramps! How are you?
You stupid brats!
Who talks to Lila, comforting her how she shouldn't feel bad for the previous shepherd's death. Oh, don't worry, I think she's fine.
A cheeky chimp chucked cheap chocolate chips in the cheap chocolate chip shop.
She's off the rails.
Well, we head to the Earth Temple where the Seraphim here was actually a shepherd before he went evil. And he's also still a creep.
Scram. Get out of my face. Now we just walk to the altar?
Actually, the trial is to quell the Minotauros.
Huh? And I at least like how the trials are different where you have to now open up the place by knocking pillars down for a bull to run to the end. Like you're herding it there as it then runs off when you approach him. Or, you know, you're getting used to it, this game has a lot of choices. You can go invisible and fight him wherever you find him. And it was formed as a mishmash of all these dead kids. Yeah, this was certainly an artistic choice. So we go to the wind trial and meet Zaveid, who shows off his gun power again, and how it can actually remove malevolence since it's pure energy. But he runs off again after we beat him. And so into the wind trial where it's opening doors, and you gotta make sure this door doesn't block you on a higher floor as it's moving up, and I swear I was losing my mind here.
That spinning mist thing really does get the job done.
It's the wind trial after all.
It totally gets the job done, that spinning mist thing.
It's the wind trial after all.
Dezel, you realize she's not going to stop unless you say something else, right?
Never have I seen anything get the job done more than that spinny mist thing.
It spins the mist after all.
Whoa, Dezel! You actually put some effort into it. Good job.
also don't have that much to say on the music other than that it's very good, and they used 2 composers of the series to make the tracks because this was their celebration game, remember? But I don't know, man. The music just hits different in these trials, with the Earth one being my favorite in the game. The way it just changes between genres, sort of reminding me of a mix of Nier and Final Fantasy XIV. So we have all 4 powers, meaning we could be ready for Helldalf. Or we could do some more side quests, where we try and spy on some kids who are stealing things.
Hey, is this really okay?
Tales of Zestiria is a stealth game. And we can meet up with Alicia now, as she's an NPC where you can help her solve the problems of trying to win back the council and organize peace. We also learn Maltron is actually a Hellion, but you don't have the heart to tell Alicia because she feels that Maltron was the only person who was at her side when the council wanted her out. And all this while you still can actually buy Alicia's next upgraded weapons in the shop. Yep, the spear weapons, as Rose uses dual daggers, no one else uses spears. It's like they completely forgot that they removed her at this point of the game. Anywho, you learn that Alicia's mother was not born to royalty, hence why she was always looked down upon, and she is trying so hard to clear the corruption and stop the war against Rollins. Despite how much hate she gets, she is really trying to save her kingdom, which is so admirable of her. But for now, we continue the story where we head to Pendrago, but get stopped by Zaveid. He fights us again, and it was tough. I actually ran out of items, and from then on, I tried to make sure I had the maximum amount of revives and healing. Or maybe I won because Rose was down and I didn't try to focus on healing her. He then gives us that gun with his last bullet and then walks off. Okay. But we finally meet Lunar, Mason's killer. However, as the domain goes black and white, it was an illusion caused by this girl, Simone. Hi, nice to meet you. She's like a devout follower of Helldalf, but she is the one that Dezel wanted revenge on. As we learn that his backstory in that 5 years ago, Dezel and his friend traveled with the Wind Riders, a mercenary group that had Rose in it, and he enjoyed this fun, happy time. However, Rose is going to get engaged to the Roland prince called Conan, and this made Dezel mad. His fun, happy times was going to end, and through some more happy, fun times, Rose kills the prince who became a Hellion, and Simone appeared telling Dezel that he's an angel of death whose blessing caused all this suffering. But now he can kill Simone and forcefully fuses with Rose to attack, but fails, and Rose gets fused into this monster that was created by Simone. So Dezel instead asks us to use his life as a bullet in Zaveid's gun called Siegfried, and we save Rose with Dezel dying, and Rose gives us the most in-character response.
I'm eternally grateful to you too, Rose.
Yeah.
Tell Sorey and the others that it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
And then, give him a good kick in the ass for me.
Yeah.
So Zaveid is like, hey, there's a slot free, can I join? I gotta get even with Edna's brother, Ed Maltalis, as he hints that Maltalis became a Hellion and has binded with Helldalf, and the only way we can confirm this is to ask Helldalf personally. And so we hunt for the kitty cat. Well, that was easy.
Tell me something, Helldalf. Are you...
And he says for us to join him in that his plan is to kill all humans and Seraphim to end all suffering. You know, the typical JRPG villain type of deal. Now, this boss has multiple phases where one part you pretty much just got to survive for a bit. You don't even have to attack. So my tactic of running away was pretty great. Soraya's like, no, we shouldn't fight here. It's not final boss arena enough. And the lion agrees and walks off. So we think, where can we find Maltalis, the corrupted Seraphim, to purify him to help defeat Helldalf? And to do that, we should ask Maven, who was the one trying to find out about the Seraphim. We need to keep Apple AirTags on these people, I swear to God. Also, I want to point out how it's kind of funny that Zestiria actually manages to run well in these big detailed environments where everything is loaded in. I mean, there was barely any loading screens and it's not that many enemies, but if you stare in the distance, you can see the trick they pulled by limiting the frame rates of the enemies until you get close to them. So we cross a bridge into a desert, and Zaveid's personality, well, he talks a lot more.
Hey babes, what kind of guys are your type?
The type that don't even ask that.
Or say, hey babes, either.
He's got that ladies man character trope. I mean, if the design wasn't telling enough.
And what nerve, being so scantily clad in front of a lady like that?
Maybe now's not a good time to bother her.
I think personally I liked him more than Dezel purely because he was voiced by one Space Dandy, one of my favorite anime. And here you find Maven, who tells us, oi, you need to go out and get all those Iris gems before I talk to you more.
What?
Yep, so there's optional iris gems? Not optional. Yeah, you need to go out and get every single one, I think 14 in total, to continue the story. I actually remembered being so flabbergasted originally when that I had to download someone else's save file because, you know, it's my first time JRPG. I legit could not comprehend the game would do this to you. Yeah, I know now it's a very normal trope in these type of games, but I clearly remember how annoyed I was back then. And you want to know how I did it? It actually was pretty funny looking back. I actually asked on Reddit. Yep, I tried a long shot asking specifically for a save file someone had just after the iris gem point. So thank you, Ituhara, for without it, I might have just completely given up on this game entirely and this video wouldn't exist. But here I actually did them, where a lot of the quests are just multi-stage things where you do one thing that leads into another, which can kind of break depending on the order you do them, because here, I was actually meant to get a skit automatically after the battle. It didn't happen!
Alrighty then.
And yep, I can still buy Alicia's weapons, really hinting to me that she was meant to be playable at this point. So we fight giant rampaging elephants, more Medusas, all who are so challenging as any hit I took, I just fall over. I don't know why. I even lowered the difficulty to easy, and I still would die in one hit. Something was very wrong. Also, one side quest, you gotta find the serial killer in Pendrago, and it's funny because it's a priest. Pause for laugh. And then afterwards, Rose says this.
No matter what the reason, killing is a sin. For him to be able to kill without even realizing that means no matter what the reason, killing is a sin.
And so we do more side quests which have the gameplay being so peak. Well, you gotta use Rose's skill of no footstep sounds, and it actually mutes your footsteps to surprise the boss. I was surprised, they actually just mute the sound. Then we got more caves where, I don't know, sometimes it showed me I had the wind step ability on, but like, I'm still moving slow! You saw how fast I could move before, right? I'm not sure if it's related to the Lord of the Land boon things, but it was annoying how I would fight enemies, get the icon on, and not actually receive any boost. And all the while you're getting these iris gems, which I'll go over once we've got them all. Which is right now, where Maven goes about how his family are storytellers in history, and if they don't keep that oath, they will die. Kind of a bit vague, but okay, we learn about the iris gems and the entire lore of the game. So you know, this is probably a good time for a big spoiler section. So Heldalf was a human, part of the Roland's army, where they occupied the village of Camlon, which was where the shepherd Michael at the time built the whole village to house Maltalis safely away from people. But when Highland attacked, Heldalf retreated and Camlon fell as a result, and Maltalis became a Hellion due to all the malevolence. In revenge, Michael sacrificed his own nephew to Maltalis to curse Heldalf, turning him into the Lord of Calamity, where he would then eventually push people away, leaving him all alone. Everyone he cares about will die, causing even more malevolence to generate never-ending cycle. And Matthew's sister, whose name is Muse, well, her son was the one that was sacrificed, and they were reborn as a seraphim due to Muse's love, and that seraphim was Mikleo. She then gave Mikleo to Grams, who he also had another baby he got from a human in that village, whose mother's name was Celine, and now Grams would raise the two together, becoming Mikleo and Sorey we know today. So it was all kind of trying to make you feel for Heldalf, and you know, he can never rest, all this evil, he lost all those dear to him, but I mean, it's kind of his own fault. But they do all this to make Sorey really care and feel even more guilty that he's gonna have to end Heldalf to save the world. Well, I don't know, buddy, just get Rose to do it, she can handle it. Also, it's amusing how they told you this story where you could actually then run around in the cutscene. It was a pretty cool artistic choice. And how does Rose react to all this?
Whenever a friend of mine is down, if I'm not feeling the same way, I always feel like maybe something's missing from me.
Cool, cool. And so Maven fights us to prove our power and then dies because he broke his oath. I don't really get the oath. He like sort of stopped storytelling, so he dies, but he still was talking to us. Also, there's a funny bad ending where you can beat Heldalf in this fight, which is extremely hard at this point, but you got this anime cutscene because you killed him without learning his backstory, so you don't feel bad. And you doom the world. Now Maltalis' vessel, you know, Heldalf, is gone, so Maltalis just turns into a Giga Dragon who is unbeatable. Well, we now know the plan.
So if we cut the tie between Maltalis and Heldalf...
That right, Lyle?
She sells seashells by the seashore. Yep.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
He's got to be doing that on purpose.
We gotta cut Maltalis' ties and purify the land. But you hear word how Lunaire is causing both countries to fight each other again. They are heading into battle right now, so we gotta go convince Sergei.
Put your life on the line for justice!
Very slowly. while Rose leaves the team to do some assassin stuff, where you will help her eventually to finally kill Lunar, who is actually a human turned Hellion assassin. As in, he works for the Assassin Guild and had too much malevolence, becoming a Hellion. So to Rose, it was just killing one of her employees, but he escapes badly wounded. No, Mason, we need to avenge you. And Alicia joins up again for the Highland side. Yep. Fooled ya! You do get a user again! But my point still stands because, you know, she was cut, all those weapons you bought for her. Yeah, if you did buy them, they're still useless because now her new default spear that she gets when she joins, it's way too OP for any of those weapons. And she has to confront Maltron as Edna reveals to her that Maltron is a Hellion, and that Alicia is strong enough and that she didn't need Maltron at all, which is such good character growth. The fight, on the other hand, well...
Your luck is out of me, Alicia!
Yeah, I know I was missing a character who can amortize, but Maltron will always target Alicia, so it's like my job then is just to keep her alive to keep this fight going! As was easily the toughest fight in the game up to this point, since one combo from her and it's an instant death. And so I learned that I had this item called All Divide, which in its description says it halves damage taken by one ally or foe in battle. Use it again to negate the effect. Okay, so that means, right, I get to pick which ally or enemy to use it on in the pause menu to have them take half damage, right? Well, I use it, and, oh, I can't pick who gets it. Oh, okay. I think it works, though. And I continue the fight, and it somehow is easier, so I guess the item worked, where Alicia kills Maltron. Well, Maltron makes her kill her. And Alicia's like, phew, that was fun. I'm strong now. Okay, no more of me, bye. And Rose goes, hey, what's up? While Simone is like, oh, you're missing the big war. Where we see how the malevolence is turning everyone into beasts. And someone summons, probably Simone, a huge dragon! And you gotta fight them where it's got these phases, but its attacks are pretty slow. And the second phase, all the soldiers band together to help you fight by distracting the dragon's casting. And if you got these dragon type attack, you know, advantage things, you can do a lot of damage, making this quite an easy fight.
Hell yeah! Go on, do it, Saray.
Yeah.
And so Sergei and Alicia will try and organize peace between the countries.
Guess the peace talks are in good hands.
And here I thought the war would be dragging on and on.
Oh no, that was a pretty good one! I'm jealous.
As Saray and Alicia say bye, where Rose goes...
Boy, he didn't waste any time turning her down. Right there in front of him, the perfect date. No wonder girls don't dig shepherds.
Oh no, don't you start.
Well, what can you do?
And now it's a weird moment where the gang all rest, but they've got this Japanese pop music playing loudly over the top, and Rose keeping it very emotional, you know?
I feel like a great load has been taken off my mind.
Really? Hey, cool beans.
Hey, so is that really why her character doesn't work? Purely because she's emotionally distant? Huh, that could make for an interesting character study by someone who cares a lot. Not me, though. I miss Alicia. The guys, though, are having fun.
I see. This is youth. Brotherhood between men.
And then we meet...
Hellion? I'm not a Hellion now. I'm a cat.
Well, I try one side quest I really wanted to finish before the end of the game, Edna's one, where we go back to Eisen. You could only do this once you have Zaveid, as he promised Eisen to kill him if he turned into a dragon. And it was way too tough. Yeah, I'm dying too quick for me to even attempt this. But the eventual plot has you killing Eisen against Edna's wishes, since it was the only way to save him. Meaning, you never get to see Edna and Eisen interact. Well...
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
Oh boy, I need to pick me up. How about the Cats' Corner? Where you can use Gramps' pipe to give to the cats and enter. And honestly, it's best I show you. And you can revisit all the skits you have seen in the game.
Causing her fellow soldiers to become Hellions.
It's a chicken and egg scenario.
It's a closed loop. A chicken and egg paradox.
Chicken, egg, it's all the same once you've gobbled it down.
And so time to confront Heldar, where we head home and learn that he's captured Gramps to try and convince us to join him. So we head back into that first shrine we entered, which turns out was Gramps' own shrine, and we head through a previously locked door. Side note, it would have been really cool if we got to bring Alicia here to be like, remember the good times, we found you here. Instead we have And we get teleported into the sandy area where Simone loves the illusions, forcing us to fight clones of ourselves. And then at this point, the game actually unlocks the final part of Alicia's side quest. Yeah, so like here you just go back and quick travel at the same point. Like, hang on Simone, I gotta take care of this. With some people actually helping Alicia learn how to be a politician. And she claims she's gonna be the Giga Chaddest Knight to protect her people. Wow, how inspiring. Rose, you could learn a thing or two from her.
Yeah.
And so we head back and fight Simone, who isn't that tough. You just do this spread out command and the team will all target the different clones. We stop her, but let her live, causing her to cry out because she doesn't know what to do now.
Do you think we got our message across to her?
She was listening. More than that, I cannot say.
So we enter the final dungeon, Artorias' throne, which has a shrine to a Nominat who was a lord before Maltalis. And we head to Heldorf, including the best damn speedrun I've done in a final boss dungeon. So we find the lion and fight him, which we have to do a little damage before a cutscene plays, where Heldorf absorbs Gramps to make it even harder for us to kill him, trying to cause us to feel malevolence. But I don't think there's an evil thought in this kid's head.
Oh, whoa.
And so we fight in one of the longest boss fights I've ever had to do, where I'm constantly just healing and dying and chipping away. You know, random tangent, but I was gonna do a joke edit where I got Lila's model to do the Bird is the Word dance in MMD, but turns out the model is only in this other program's format, which is then hard to convert into MMD's program. But then I eventually did find her MMD model, except the only place to get it online was this Taiwanese site, which then links the model to get it, but the site was then bought out by this other site. So yeah, the models are seemingly lost to time. Oh, these random rabbit holes I love going through making these videos. Well, this is the best I can do. So the fight itself, he has these big hits with telegraph attacks that you can dodge once you learn the pattern. Not if you're my teammate. And I was throwing out all divides to make him not hit hard as much, but I don't know, I could not damage him, it just took so long. I ended up at one point actually doing it, only because I literally stood in the back line and used all my revives and healing to keep my allies fighting him, because a single hit he does and he cleaves through their health. And yes, this is still on the lowest difficulty and on New Game Plus. Eventually, I whittle him down till the final phase, where we push through and kill Gramps to cause Heldorf to fuse with Maltalis, becoming this crazy lion dragon. And now this fight was a nightmare I've struggled with for years, because what you're meant to do is attack his hands to do enough damage till he charges up his laser, which you then gotta do enough damage to trigger a cutscene, because if you don't in that time limit, insta kills you. So it was a lot of
Here, return to nothingness.
And originally in the first playthrough I looked up the cutscene because I couldn't do it. The second time I was using someone else's save file on the final boss and beat him like that. And so look, I have all the footage recorded since then. I could have easily copped out for the review and just used that. But this entire video has turned into this weird personal validation, revisiting a game that honestly was a big turning point in my life. And I feel I needed to beat this boss using characters I leveled up the whole game. But it was so weird. No matter what I did, nothing was working. I was chucking out all divides, using all the gameplay knowledge I could from researching as best I could, and finally, at 2 AM, I couldn't. I had to accept I was not going to beat this boss, and the game would continue to haunt my soul. And turns out,
I'm such an idiot.
So, there's these herbs and like, I never used them all game. Yeah, they are permanent stat boosts. Yep, I completely forgot to use a single one. Well, okay, I just take care of that, but I don't know, it was still weird because I'm playing on the easiest difficulty, right? And New Game Plus, right? This game should be a cakewalk, yet I was getting one shot. And I was barely doing any damage, so I looked it up and I looked and I looked and I found a Reddit post where someone else was having this problem of not doing enough damage. And the reply said, oh, maybe you're using the gold style. Gold style? Gold? Wait, let me check. Oh my god.
I'm such an idiot.
So this boost, which is in the section of boost that you turn all of them on because they're all beneficial to you, none of them have a downside. But this one, which increases the gold you get, you know, so it's easier to fast travel, buy armor, but I didn't see it or didn't understand it. It has the downside. It's the only one in this section that has a downside. You will get more gold at the cost of your stat growth. As in, no, not just a limited stat growth. I was not getting a single stat stat growth all game till I used those herbs just then. Meaning I was using my base attack, defense stat this whole playthrough without realizing. Meaning my defense was non-existent, which explains why I was getting one shot on easy mode, and my attacks non-existent, which is why the easy mode bosses still took half an hour to defeat. I couldn't believe it. I actually did a challenge run, meaning, yeah, I could just go out to level up, but no, I'm gonna beat this. And turns out there's actually some super cheese to this game I didn't realize, but everyone's been doing it, where you just control Rose, and yeah, you know, she's useful after all, and use her Dream Slasher ability, which is a quick attack that you can just spam, and it does a lot of damage, like a lot. And I was able to lower his health pretty consistently. I was still using the All Divide to hopefully not get hit hard as much, but then the problem was still the last phase. I needed to do insane damage to load that cutscene, and oh my god, Rose, it was working! It was actually working! And I beat the phase where you use the Seraphim as bullets and Siegfried to sever Heldolf's link with Maltalis, and then we fight Heldolf one-on-one, where you need to just get enough blast gauge to do your finisher move, and we win in the cutscene. And at 4 AM, when I'd given up all hope, I finally legit have beat this game. Even after nerfing myself accidentally the entire run. So we both use Lion's Howl. Oh, that's why we learnt it. And Sorey does a double one, sending him crashing into the throne now in his human form. And as we walk up, Heldolf says if he dies, a new calamity will be born. But Sorey kills him without falling to malevolence, as he truly understands his duty as a shepherd. And so we get an anime cutscene where Sorey now falls into a deep sleep with Maltalis to slowly purify the Seraphim to heal the land. And this will occur for many, many years, as we see everyone in peaceful time. And it cuts to years later with Miklur searching in ruins to eventually falling but being saved by Sorey, who is now awake. And thus ends Tales of Zestiria, where your save point leaves you before the final boss, but you can go and do some post-game things or all these side quests. But it wasn't the end of my journey, because I went and finally bought the DLC, the additional chapter, Alicia's Story. Well, I guess first impression, oh good lord, what does this DLC do to make people so mad? Well, the price and runtime, maybe. I couldn't really find much history on the DLC, as in, was this always planned? I mean, I guess so, since it only released a month after the Japanese main game release date. And it said after the game's main ending, so this still has spoilers for that, okay? And you can use your clear data to load in and get the same equipment and items, but if not, you get a standard list of equipment. And it follows Alicia, what she's been doing in the months since the ending, and she's as cheerful as ever.
I can see you now.
Where peace talks are continuing between the countries, and the Highland Chancellor will resign because of how corrupt the council was. However, this soldier who is still corrupted with malevolence attacks, and Alicia can't do anything to purify since she's got no contract. But who should have fear? Ah, great, her.
That was a close one.
Rose!
That was a close one.
Did they just make her say the line twice? Alicia also hears Lunaire's voice and tells Rose, and Alicia wants to know why Sorey hasn't visited. But Rose...
See ya. Hey! I must discern the truth forthwith. Too formal.
How cute.
And what turns out to be one of the most baffling character regression writing I have ever seen, where Rose knows Sorey is with Maltalis for years, like she as a human won't see him again. And what she's doing is just, you know, purifying the malevolence into still popping up. She's like taking care of it around the world. But she doesn't want to tell Alicia any of this because she doesn't think Alicia can handle it. But we, as the audience, have seen how Alicia is strong AF and has learned to handle issues like with Maltron, and to be a knight who in her own words in the main game will lower her morals to do anything, and I mean anything, to save her people.
I need to be strong enough to protect my people, even if I must soil my hands to do so.
Does that not mean she's strong? But Rose wasn't there. She doesn't know this. Okay, editing this, I saw that she's there the whole time, so she's seen all this, so it just makes it even worse. So she proceeds to do everything possible to avoid telling Alicia the truth.
I don't understand. Why?
'Cause I won't.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't need to make sense.
Running away, even mocking her.
You chose yourself, remember, sweet princess?
Bro, what the hell? You weren't even there half the game. She had to experience all this.
We've never been friends.
I'm sure it helps that you've grown into your power. But still, Rose must be incredibly special.
That's the nicest thing I've ever heard.
You're saying this to not cause her pain? Yes, Alicia, get her! So to show that she is strong, Alicia goes to fight those evil guards because even though she can't purify them, she's gotta try, God bless her. Rose then, after listening to Lila and Edna, who are still with her, to go and make a pact with Alicia, and finally she does so.
Wanna be my squire?
Huh?
Ah! Oh, were you changing? Perfect.
Perfect? Wait, first close the door.
Get ready, Alicia.
What? Ah!
Did the writers not read what they just wrote in the last paragraph? I'm 30 minutes in and I've already had more emotions than Snake when you tell him something is in the second floor basement.
Second floor basement.
And the game then forces an outfit change on you where to bait the soldiers into attacking a rich girl, Alicia should dress like one.
Friggin' watch me, Rose.
Yeah, get her, Alicia!
Get your damn head on straight, girl.
Also, this was weird in the DLC where in the cutscenes the camera would do this weird panning thing where you would run into an environment instead of hard cutting to the next shot. You know how it would do in the main game? The camera would now fly ahead and wait for you two to walk into the shot. And it does this more than once, so it's like maybe they had a different director work on this DLC. It would explain the character inconsistencies. And yeah, this actually feels like a different team now that I think about it, because what the heck? The alternate pathways you take in the dungeons, they have no items in those alternate pathways. Yep, in the entire main game, nearly every alternate pathway you took, you were rewarded with an item. But here, nah, let's be like other JRPGs and waste your time. So this cave is from Rollins' side that leads into Camelon, which Edna had sealed up after the final fight, so that Sorey would be alone, but it seems like someone broke it open. And we learn that Mikleo and Zavir are still here, but they're trying to find a way to reseal the cave. And inside we find a Maltran imposter created by Simone. Yep, she's found a purpose, I guess, to work with Lunaire, who is the one trying to do this to us. But Alicia is a Giga Chad now. She doesn't care and fights. And remember how I said the original fight was one of the hardest in the game? Well, here, it's the same, possibly even more so, because I have less Seraphim. And here I also realized every hit I was doing cumulatively adds to the numbers you see on the enemy. As in, every punch adds to a total that shows here. Because originally I thought I was doing 1k damage each hit, because you know, easy mode and that kind of thing. And that's what I was thinking happened all game, which kind of proves my point that I was using gold style and all my stats were nerfed. But even with this and absolutely no items left, I managed to pull it off. And then I realized the All Divide. It doesn't just lower damage to you, it makes your damage lower, because remember it says the enemy, as in you will also hit half the normal damage. Yep. So every time I use this in the base game, I was again accidentally nerfing myself even more because I didn't understand the description.
It boggles the mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was saving me. They weren't hitting me as hard, but it's like I could have done the bosses much quicker if I had more damage. So Alicia easily kills Maltran in the cutscene and Simone gets annoyed and Rose is like, okay, fine, I'll take you to Sorey. As Edna catches Alicia up to speed on Sorey's backstory lore. You know, the whole village thing with Mikleo.
Normies?
Normies.
Then we enter a long 13th floor dungeon that ends up taking 1 hour of the 3-hour runtime because the enemies are way tough. There's so many dead ends, having you go up and down opening hidden panels. You do also get some good items here, so it does pay to look around, but then you're hearing dialogue like this.
I just get like this when you're around, I guess.
But do you know what? These things happen. I'm used to it now. After all, we're friends.
What? When did we become friends?
However, since I learned Rose's OP strategy, it wasn't as bad, and plus I was not using All Divide anymore, so I was winning pretty quick. Zavir also joins in eventually with Mikleo on the final floor, where you fight 2 bosses that are trying to get to Sorey, and you fight one which then doesn't die as the other one is healing it, and you gotta kill both at the same time. Rose, however, freaks out!
What are you doing? You're gonna kill yourself! How can I die? You said I was so strong! Fool! What was that for?
Listen to me!
I don't have time for you.
Seriously, why is she yelling? Alicia really is the MVP for having to deal with her for 3 hours. So they kill bosses and enter Camelon, where you see light in a crater. Alicia then gives a speech saying how she's found her answer, where she wants to be a politician, knight, friend, squire, whatever. She doesn't want to give any part of herself up. And so the group leave, with the game showing Lunaire plotting his revenge again as the DLC ends. They really tackled the sequel bait onto the DLC when you know the next game is a prequel, which means Mason is never avenged! So that's the whole main game in the DLC. And now I can finally talk about the big Rose Alicia controversy now that we have all the context. So I think by now you can probably see that this was a huge sticking point for this game. I think that people will always remember it was Rose vs Alicia. One who was introduced at the start and you felt like she was going to be a main character for the whole game, she got sidelined at the third waypoint for this new character Rose, where they try so hard to make you try to like her as a replacement. I mean, you're carrying her slowly on your back. She hates dungeons but likes you. She has more resonance than Alicia, so is similar to Sorey, making him go, wow, these 10 minutes of carrying you on my back were the most fun I've ever had. That Alicia is then so weak and pitiful despite having the most hate I've seen on her by her council, doing all these things to try to set her up to fail, and she doesn't give up no matter what, and yet nope, she's still weak. Rose even looking at the camera going, haha, funny joke guys, I'm a replacement to Alicia, teehee. Maybe Rose has a good character backstory. Frankly, we don't want to know. It's a story I can do without. The way this was handled in-game just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. How you expected to like a character just replacing another one you like. I mean, Alicia didn't even die like other games do this. I mean, Dezel died and Zaveid replaced him, and Zaveid can still be seen as annoying with his flirting, but the situation was more believable. You then accepted him joining the team. It's the fact that Alicia is still perfectly fine, she's okay, she's out there, she will come in to help you at random points, but you know now she's never going to be fully playable in your party. And the replacement is doing everything they can to annoy you, even despite their character trope being a thing that I really love in games. It was like you're not meeting under good circumstances. If she was the main character from the get-go, like, you know, maybe she could have gone to the village at the start, and then instead you meet Alicia at the same time as Sergei, since they ended up being similar roles on opposite countries. I mean, it could work, and believe me, there are so many fans trying to rewrite the story to make it work, because a lot of people didn't like this. And as such, the question then turns out to be, why? Why did this happen?
Why?
What?
Why?
Well, the reason people liked Alicia was that she was featured a lot in the game's trailers, leading to fans assuming that she would be there for the whole game. In fact, in 2014, just a few months before the release date, a gameplay trailer was uploaded with comments disabled that has Alicia in an area that the party doesn't visit until later after she's gone, you know, alongside Dezel, because you never have him in the party when you have Alicia. The time she joins you when you fight Maltron, you got Zaveid on your team. Then you have Rose, who amortizes so quickly, she does not develop as a character, and it even has the weirdest plot idea that Rose, and only Rose, is allowed to kill. While they mention specifically how bad killing is, you're gonna get malevolence, but nope, Rose is that head empty that she can kill and not feel the emotions. And then the DLC, which was released 1 month after the game, so it wasn't like the devs seeing all the backlash and then making a quick rush DLC to focus on Alicia. This was always planned, and fans thought, oh okay, her name is in the title. Surely this will help fix all the issues we just had in the game we just beat. But as you saw, that was one of the most frustrating DLCs I have ever played, where Rose becomes even more unlikable, actively insulting Alicia, so fans who paid a lot of money for 3 hours of DLC, you know, titled Alicia's Story, surely you would think those fans who are paying a lot of money, they're gonna be fans of Alicia, right? And now after seeing their character, how she was treated in the whole game after 40 hours, then they were just seeing her get insulted by a character they didn't like. It led to the term being coined by Japanese fans, Alicia costs 1,300 yen. And so the rumors began to swell because Hideo Baba, remember him, you know, as the brand producer of Tales since 2007, he was handling where the series would go, but a lot of bad decisions, you know, with the previous games. There was bugs on the Tales of Grace's launch, rushed development on Xillia. It probably led to his eventual departure from Tales 1 year after Zestiria, with the game's reception being seen as a nail in the coffin for him. And in 2015, Hideo actually had to put out a response to the Alicia drama, where she was only prominent in the marketing because they wanted to hide Rose, and they showed her second in all the reveal trailers because she's the second party member. Well, that means you're ignoring Mikleo. Yeah, her trailer was shown before Mikleo's was revealed, so you can see why people would believe she's going to be a major character. Then you also had the Tales of Asteria, a mobile game which called Alicia the heroine of Zestiria, but Hideo said the two dev teams did not properly communicate with each other. So then this game sort of ended his time with Bandai, and now he's at Sega, and Tomozawa is now the series producer, and he helped make Arise, which actually sold a lot more, so in a way, the controversy actually helped Tales get a bigger audience. audience. But then again, it kind of lost its identity with this game, but I digress, because there was even more. As due to fans not liking Hideo, they started to spread this rumors in Japan that all this Rose stuff was because of his love of a voice actor, Mikako Komatsu, where people felt that maybe at the last minute they made Rose a prominent character so that he could have more time to flirt with the voice actress, as she was apparently the last VA to record her lines. Hence why the trailers still showed Alicia late on, how you could still buy her weapons all throughout the game. I mean, it's hard to find evidence on this, Japanese rumors. I could only find this Reddit post that says how the voice actress's motto is "I am me," and Rose's true name given by Saray is Rose is Rose. The voice actress's favorite film is the Conan series, and the movie being Assassin. Rose is an assassin. Rose gets forced to marry a prince in the story named Conan, and Hideo Barba's nickname was Prince. I mean, it's a stretch, but then I did find this post how they were saying at this Tales festival where they, announced things like a convention, the voice actress had to publicly apologize for Rose, and according to all this, that the Alicia fans threatened the festival, which is why Hideo didn't attend it, and they were even threatening the designer's life over drawing Rose. Keep in mind, a lot of this is speculation, but there are a lot of accounts on this at the time because people who were Tales fans were witnessing this in real time. Look, I know I don't like Rose, but they should never have taken it that far, threatening the real world people behind the games. But that's how deeply Japanese fans felt on this Rose issue.
This whole thing is just sort of ridiculous.
Which is then funny because they actually released an anime, Tales of Zestiria, the X, afterwards in 2016, which over 26 episodes actually altered the story, where it has a whole episode focusing on Alicia and how she even got to Soray's village in the first place. I mean, that's never really explained. And she's even given the ability to armatize in the final fight. The thing that Saray said he loved being with Rose because she could do this and Alicia couldn't. They actually retconned the story, so I can easily believe all those threats did happen, as the anime was going out of its way to put more Alicia content. The whole thing just feels like a mess, and it honestly can make a situation hard to talk about when you only want to focus on what the game did, because yes, the game didn't handle this well, and you don't want to focus on what fans did outside afterwards, because the reactions really did get out of hand. And maybe that's why the next Tales games, they didn't really focus on love interest in Berseria, and the one after had an obvious love interest. There was no room for a third party. I would feel Bandai is going to stay away from this, the whole drama of having love triangles in their games. But reviewing this game by itself with the DLC, yes, they really did handle the Rose Alicia thing badly in my opinion. There were a lot of ways they could have handled it. I mean, they could have just introduced Rose to the party earlier on, so you had both of them, so you're not kicking Alicia out, and then Alicia could have left at the halfway point like originally planned. Or I mean, the anime perfectly showed how you could have Alicia in it. Maybe it was because they were rushing to make this game because it didn't have the best development cycle, but then Zestiria the anime had more time to think about it and fix all those problems. But as to the whole game itself, Tales of Zestiria is weird, because it really does frustrate me with these characters who you love so much because they're funny, quirky, they have good chemistry, but then the next minute, oh okay, you're doing a lot of the same jokes now. Oh okay, why are you fighting? Oh okay, you're gone from the party. Oh please no, I don't want to use this character, stop forcing us to like her. And then the gameplay being, oh my lord, level of confusing to the average person. I really don't know how someone can get into the Tales series. They will be able to sit there reading all this text and actually understand the gameplay, because that's me. I'm talking about me. I couldn't. And even when I actively looked up and tried to get used to the gameplay, I still ended up accidentally nerfing myself and making the game harder because I didn't understand what the items did or confusing abilities. If you understand the gameplay, you'll get so much benefit out of this. There's so many ways to play through this game, but something has to click, and I feel the game didn't do that for me unless I had other people helping, with a Reddit post or these YouTube guides. If you don't have any of that, I don't think the game explains itself the best, leading to so many frustrations I had with Zestiria. But weirdly, as my first Tales game, one of my first JRPGs I actively was playing, I bought this myself, it wasn't Pokemon or Persona 5, it has this weird nostalgia to me. I still really do love these characters, the banter and comedy were great, it had this nice comfy vibe for the first 10 hours, and even then I put so much effort to beat this game that it has been stuck in my mind. I mean, it was the first game to awakened my love of these haunted sections in non-horror games. You never see this in games now, where it's a non-horror game and they have this little section which will scare the characters, then oh okay, everything's fine. You just had a little section to scare them, which was so fun, and I really appreciate this game for that. And I mean, I had to have liked this game enough in 2017 to then continue my journey and play Berseria, which I will have a review on that out. So while there are many flaws in this game, and I would say it's probably better starting off with another Tales game if you want to get hooked into this unique style of RPGs, although I think Arise is a bit too modern, you lose a lot of the charm the older Tales games have. You really let go of what made the franchise special and doesn't really feel like a Tales game to me personally. But Zestiria really does. It feels like a Tales game, with the quirky characters in their designs and personality. To save the world from a huge evil that takes over a fantasy land, you got these weird collectibles, all these skits that are optional, but they will add so much to the game's humor and lore, so I would recommend another game for you to get into, but if you do end up trying this, you really won't forget it anytime soon. And that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this extra long video. I wanted to make it shorter, but then I felt it was so therapeutic getting all my thoughts out on this game. It's finally out of my system. So I really would appreciate a like on this video, and a sub to the channel would be great, as yes, I will be doing a Berseria video soon, but I also do cover a lot of games in depth in my own unique way, so some of that may interest you, and you can also check the description to follow me on Twitter for updates. So until then, I shall see you on the next video.